talking the Cloverfield Paradox, gave our review. Now it is time. We kind of had to bite our tongue on this pretty hard, gentlemen, talking about the external factors that have played into this movie. So now we can finally talk about the marketing plan behind this thing, talk about everything external, unrelated to the quality of the film. I said before, if you listened to the show last week, you kind of had a clue in on this because we were talking about how we kind of took it in a different direction, or at least I did. At least I kind of took it. I said, I said Netflix has a real image concern if they're going to buy God Particle, as it was called, from Paramount. And
as you said, it's going to be the dumping ground for studios.
That's what I was saying. And I'll just say this right now after seeing it. I can understand why Paramount didn't want to release this theatrically.
Yeah.
And even there's even reports coming out now too that they said Bad Robot and the executives at Bad Robot and Paramount, they had a hard time coming to agreement on like how exactly to market this, how to market what eventually became the Cloverfield Paradox, and what the best option. They were looking for like an out with this because they're like, how can we get this movie? How can we release this movie? Because we don't maybe have a ton of faith in it theatrically. How can we release this movie and like not appease the fan base? And I think they gave it to Netflix, and Netflix threw the rule book out the window with this, and they gave us something that like we didn't even know many of us didn't even know that we wanted. I think there's like 98% of people didn't even know that this was even coming out. They gave us something in the complete unpredictable way, and I think the way that they sold this is A+ marketing.
It is,
regardless of product. This is A+ marketing.
It's very similar to what 10 Cloverfield Lane did, which was it literally dropped a trailer like a month or two before the movie's official release, which is like what they did here was like, okay, we're gonna have a Super Bowl commercial, and 4 hours later the movie's gonna be out
right after the game.
It's like announcement, trailer, movie out within 4 hours.
It's the most watched thing, in America.
Yeah. And even if you're not watching it, you'll probably see it on Netflix later that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, it's like the amount of like rabid hype, especially when it's like it's not quite Star Wars level, but does have a dedicated following, especially just on the name Cloverfield and the Cloververse. J.J. Abrams, they got a lot of fans here, and I can see why. And then just the mad myriad hype that comes with social media and the Super Bowl. That's here's a leaked copy of the entire marketing plan portfolio here. 2 Super Bowl ads. There you go. That's what it is right there.
No, and the way that those Super Bowl ads too, I mean, they were simple, but like they also appealed. They also served as a reminder as to why, or as to the original film. They served as that sort of like that glue. You know what I mean? That connective point where it was like, oh, I remember that, and they're like, wait, there's another one. You know what? And maybe I'm a downer in this way, but I'll say this: I'm glad of the way that this was released, because you know what it did? Let's say they would have said, okay, Paramount's going to keep what would have been called God Particle. But Paramount would have kept it, okay? Let's say Paramount's going to release it in October, hypothetically, okay? Then you know what you would have got? You would have got screenings 2 weeks before. You would have got the press would have had to really be tight-lipped about it. They couldn't say much. You would have gotten weeks of speculation, fan theories. They would have dissected every trailer. And I'm not trying to be a fun crusher here, but at the same time, it was kind of nice that Netflix bypassed all that.
Yeah.
And it just gave it to you. You know what I mean?
You're spot on. That's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if this thing was... Can you imagine, like, if they would announce... If they would have released a trailer during the Super Bowl, which would have been the more conventional route, and said in theaters in October. Can you imagine how much of a disappointment this would have been with like 8 months behind it?
Probably, yeah.
I think Netflix knew that too. I think they knew that too.
You think about it, it's like, yeah, within 4 hours, there probably was a few people already online starting a thread, but not in a massive amount that 8 months would have been.
It was
because most people were either preoccupied with the Super Bowl,
right,
or like finding out about it just now. Like even if they weren't watching the Super Bowl, they were probably on Facebook, and then they found out like, oh my God, a Cloverfield movie is coming out tonight.
They didn't have time to make their reactions.
Yeah,
videos.
they were probably getting their viewing party ready or something.
No, you're right. There's no one like filming themselves watching the trailers live. I love that because I absolutely hate like immediate like watching like reactions and like they're pausing the trailer for the first time. I'm like, dude, just watch it first.
Fun fact. I was at my buddy's house for Super Bowl, okay, and his uncle was there, and of course they did that. Now we have teaser trailers of teaser trailers. They showed
Solo.
They showed a minute-long clip of. They did, and but the Solo trailer came out Monday. We'll talk about that at the 2:00 hour.
Yeah.
But they showed that very brief clip in the beginning, or towards the beginning of the Super Bowl. So it was only about maybe 50 seconds. So they played it or whatever, and then my buddy's uncle, about a half hour, 45 minutes later, my buddy's uncle looked it up on YouTube, and he goes, "There's already a reaction video to the Super Bowl trailer of Solo," and I said, "Man, damn the culture." You know what I mean?
It's always culture, man.
That's what it is. And but I mean, I am just glad, regardless of what, again, we're talking totally externally about Cloverfield Paradox, is that I'm just glad that by Netflix's gutsy release, they bypassed a lot of the fluff that has come to be, in my opinion, exciting in one way but annoying in another, of like this intense trailer analysis, this intense nitpicky conspiracy
You got
theories
like
to-
comicbook.com on Facebook sharing, what
Yes.
do you think Cloverfield Paradox
This gave is in some respect, this gave a lot of the vultures no time to react.
Yeah.
In the way that this was released.
This there's almost a kind of a similar release time in video game industry, and it was for Fallout 4. Fallout 4 came out, I think, just like 3 months or 2 months after the first trailer. I think it's like 3 months closer to, which is like for a video game from Bethesda, or like for an RPG, it's like 4 years time development.
Bethesda takes a long time,
And it's like the first like E3 trailer drops 2 years before the release date, and then it gets pushed back, so it's 3 or something like that. And like
it's like Rockstar too.
Yeah, and the amount of goodwill that was eventually thrown away, but the amount of goodwill that Bethesda earned just from like, hey, like quick hype blitz, but then the game is like just like that. The game is yours. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's talk about Cloverfield 4. We should probably just call it that, because I mean, you see how well calling a God particle worked out for us.
Clover 4.
Oh no.
Clover.
Oh, boy. I gotta go back to doing the show alone. Anyway, no, I love you guys. You guys are very spirited. I think people listen now. But we gotta talk about Cloverfield 4. So it was just announced. I'm going off a Slash film, but it was being discussed earlier last week. Okay, I remember it was. I think it was actually maybe a day or two after the show last week.
No, it was literally just a day. DJ shift here at WON, and I came in at WONC, and I was on Facebook, and I noticed that Cloverfield 4 announced, release date set. I'm like, that's Steve.
I love that you did. That should have been an immediate indicator, though, that like 3's coming sooner than we think.
It should.
I couldn't even imagine this soon. But going off of what we know right now, though, Cloverfield 4 is planning to be released in theaters. It's currently titled Overlord. That's kind of what we got. Whether that's going to be the official title or just a scapegoat title, we don't know. But Paramount plans to release it in theaters. So it's not like this is going to be a straight to Netflix event. It's not like it's going to be. It's not going forward. It's not like it's going to keep going. It plans to release it on October 26th of this year.
Yeah.
And anyway, per the Wrap, they also said the deal between Netflix and Paramount for the Cloverfield Paradox was a one-off that makes the film immediately profitable. So it was essentially, like, I think I called it in the show last week, it was essentially a write-off. That's kind of what it was. So we got this. Here is the plot description. I'll read it again from Slash. From the director Julius Avery, just for the hell of it. First off, it comes from the director Julius Avery. It's got Jacob Anderson in it. It's got John Magaro, Wyatt Russell, who I love, Kurt Russell's son. I think he's a really cool actor. Bokeem Woodbine, Giovanna Depo. There's a lot, quite a few names in here. A lot of that guy people, like people you might know from other things. But here's the plot description, and I quote from Slash Film. On the eve of D-Day, American paratroopers are dropped behind enemy lines to carry out a mission crucial to the invasion's success. But as they approach their target, they begin to realize there is more going on in this Nazi-occupied village than a simple military operation. They find themselves fighting against supernatural forces, part of a Nazi experiment. I did not see that coming. Oh my god!
Now you're just jumping to a whole different time period with the Cloverfield franchise.
Yeah, now this is going back. We're going way back.
Yeah.
We're going to D-Day. We're going to D-Day era. We're going to D-Day era right now. It's just a totally different landscape.
And we don't really have a trailer. We don't really have too much, idea of what they find out there in the village. But to me, this is the problem I'm having now with the franchise. You have this first film about the monster. You have the second film about this shelter that doesn't include the monster. You have this third film that ties back into the monster. Now you have this fourth film, which is just out there. It's not even like remotely connected.
It's
or
set
even
in
closely.
1944, right?
Yeah.
For D-Day. Yep.
This is kind of the best thing they could have done. I mean, I guess they've been planning it, but this is kind of the best direction you can go, because if Cloverfield Paradox left a bad taste in your mouth, which for us it kind of did.
It kinda did.
It kind of like
soured.
half did, or like it's soured after some like a really good beginning. But anyway, just kind of like a clean slate, but not really, but clean slate. Like let's just go somewhere
reboot.
crazy. Yeah, exactly. Soft reboot. I guess like every film is kind of like a soft reboot, to be honest with you.
And I really do feel like, especially now that you're hearing reports about how Paramount and Bad Robot really just didn't know how to handle God Particle in terms of if they were going to go ahead with a theatrical release. I really think that after God Particle, which again became the Cloverfield Paradox, I think that they when they started conceptualizing a fourth Cloverfield movie, they're like, let's go somewhere different.
Let's do what Lane did.
Let's do what 10 Cloverfield Lane did precisely. Let's go. So we had success before. We might not replicate it, but it'll at least get us off. Because I really think that Overlord right now, at least, especially as its position, I think they've planned this for a while to kind of damage control the third movie, and because they knew it was going to be divisive, and they didn't even know how they were going to release it. You know what I mean? Bottom line.
And you think it's going to come out this year, even possibly? That's possible.
J.J. Abrams will throw the movie through your window. That's how it's being delivered.
They'll put DVD-Rs in mailboxes.
There you go. That's how you discover
it is set right now. It is set right now. They confirmed it, October 26, 2018.
Wow.
So it is coming out. It is coming out soon, and it will be here. It'll be here before you know it.
And people will be like, "When's the trailer dropping?" September.
Yeah, October 25th.
You mentioned in the summary that it's probably going to be American soldiers, and they're probably going to like stumble across like a Nazi mystic cult Indiana Jones kind of experiment gone horribly wrong, and they wind up fighting demons or whatever. I don't know. That's just pure conjecture. But I just kind of love the idea of it's like Saving Private Ryan for like half of the movie, like just straight up a typical war movie. And then all of a sudden, Cloverfield, the monster, just shows up. And like the Nazis and the American soldiers are like, what the hell is that? And then the rest of the movie is just them trying to figure that out.
Portal just goes.
Yeah. Like so, like the paradox happened, and it just like, oh hey, here I am. I just the confusion of like half an hour's worth.
I forgot. Did either of you see Fences, the Denzel Washington film?
I wish I did.
No, I
No, you
didn't.
didn't? Oh, because Giovanna Depo, I thought I recognized that name. I looked. He played the son in the movie Fences. And he's going to be the lead actor in Overlord. So I'm looking forward to that just on the basis of that, because the kid was great in Fences.